Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Emmanuel. You can call me DevMani, and this channel is really dedicated to helping you to find your next job in tech. I'm more focused to remote jobs because I usually get a lot of questions around that because I work remotely, first of all, and I've been working remotely for some time now. So I usually get a lot of questions around that. How did you do it, Emmanuel? Like, what's your secret? Are these things even real? And how can I get a remote job? I mean, people tell me that I want your job, I want to get your job, I want to get something like you have right now. So I realized that maybe a lot of people are interested in this, and I wanted to like start this series to like help people navigate into this path, tech or remote jobs in general, then breaking into big tech or tech in general. First of all, I want you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So please click on the subscribe button right now. Like, please do, because I'm going to share a lot of good content with you and share this link to other people. We want to create a very great community of people who work remotely and work in tech. So please do subscribe now. Click on the notification icon. Click on the bell button for all notifications, because this will be in phases. This today is just going to be about how I got my first remote job, or how I navigated into the remote tech space, right? Then the subsequent videos are going to be about like things to do, mistakes I made, and what is a remote job, what kind of companies you should be looking at, how to optimize your LinkedIn, how to network, how to what kind of skills you should look at, sites to look at. There's a whole lot of like stuff around remote jobs and tech jobs in general. So it will really do you a lot of good if you are glued to this channel, and I'm always ready. And you can feel free to reach out to me in the comment section on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I'm going to drop all those links to help you. So an intro about me. Currently work as an integration specialist, or technical integrations specialist, right? And I started as and okay, that is really focused on like putting so like two systems to speak to each other, sort of. Okay, so that's integrations. So I started as a software engineer, maybe not directly as a software engineer, but in other things like maybe I rose from hardware. I did a little hardware, did networking, a little bit of networking, yeah, etc., system administration, and then yeah, stuff like that. So that's been the journey. And then when my last I was working as a software engineer, specifically working on integrations, and then like payment systems, stuff like that, before I finally got this role, right? And then yeah, so that's been the journey. So as a software engineer, how did it start? Okay, so I remember that when I was leaving my old job, I started looking at the local companies. Like when I say local companies, they're companies in my own country, right? So I was looking at them, trying to see what I could get. So I was very hopeful, because my dad worked in some company, my mom's working, so I thought, oh, I could get a links from there. So did I get interviews? I think I got one interview from one of our big companies here, and they asked me my salary as a software engineer. Because being a software engineer is a bit draining. Okay, I'm not going to even lie about this. It's a lot of work. You're always being chased for deadlines, trying to demos, sprints and stuff like that. So I got into the interview at that time. I can't remember the exact year, but I mean, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I think. And they asked me my salary, and I just said, oh, 7,000 CDs. In fact, I was going to ask for 9,000.
Jesus is
And
Lord.
when I said 7,000, the whole panel laughed. They just laughed at me. I'm like, hey, did I see something wrong?
God
Am
have
I
mercy
being
upon us.
too, like, high? So I'm like, 7,000. I thought this was reasonable, like, you guys. And they just laughed at me. And they're like, you know what? Even when they were telling me they'll get back to me, they'll let me know. They were just laughing. So 7,000 is not too much, because at that time I'd already started picking hints, because I was doing a lot of software courses, right? I was picking hints from the externals, like abroad. I'm seeing people are doing salaries, very high salaries. So if I'm asking for 7,000 CDs, that's not so much, okay? So, and it was funny. I felt a little let down, but I said, okay, then if I probably get another job, I'm just going to ask for 6,000 or 5,000 CDs. I don't, but then I don't know. Some part of me felt like, no, I shouldn't accept this. I should look out for more, that kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, no, I'm going to actually look out for more, check to see if there are better opportunities. Because I was working with different people, and because I had different classes to different courses. I felt like, no, they could be better, right? So that's when I started looking online, 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 online. And I thankfully I met someone who worked in a company where he was recruited online. Like, he got a remote job. And I got to know that the salary was around either 50,000 or $60,000, and I'm like, what?
Are you playing?
$50,000 in this Ghana? Yeah, like, so I asked, like, you are being paid this money from Ghana, or you are like, he was like, oh, he works from here in the pay. You are being paid dollar equivalent. It's like, yes, dollar equivalent. I'm like, wow, like, I have to do something. Like, I need to get into this space. Like, this was my big goal. I'm like, no, I have to get into this space. So that's when he introduced me to Crossover. So Crossover is like a platform where they give you a lot of tests, and then I think Crossover boasts of hiring the top 1% talent in the world. So you go through a lot of tests, online tests, right? And then when you pass them, you're able to stand a chance for an interview. That's even by after passing all these very tough tests, before you even get a chance to be interviewed, then the interview can go left or right. So I started practicing on Crossover. And Crossover, I had to, and the tests are very, very tough. There are these cognitive tests, like they're like aptitude tests with a little different touches. Like, they test logic, they test mathematical skills, they test grammar, they test a lot of things. And then those are the generic tests. And then before you write the original test for the job, so like, let's say you probably do, like, let's say if you are doing software engineering, you write the aptitude, you write what they call it, forgot, there's a cognitive sort of test, forgotten the exact name. And then after going through all of that, you write the original test for the job too. So you're going to write, like, let's say, a proper software engineering test. Like, what? So I applied. I think the first one I got was the first interview I got, there was a tech sales role. I was so happy. I'm like, wow. And I think the money was about $50,000. I was so happy, like, wow, I'm coming to you. And then I did it, and I didn't get. But I think one key element of me was that I was not giving up, right? I'm like, no, I'm not giving up. So I tried again. So that same day that I got a rejection after having that um technical sales interview, and I didn't even have any technical sales background, but Crossover tells you that once you ace the test, they'll give you an interview, and it's somewhat true. Sometimes it's not a case every time. So I that same night, before at that time I was working, I had an office space somewhere, which, like, I used to do the interview. So before I went home, I saw another role. I'm like, let me just apply because I qualified for it. Just that the money was lesser. I think it was $10,000 lesser, right? So I'm like, okay, let me just apply for this role like that. And I applied. Funny enough, I got picked for that interview. So I think the next day I was just going about my life, and sorry about the Slack notifications. I was just going about my life, stuff like that. I was going to buy Wachi. Wachi is a dish in Ghana, just in case someone sees this and doesn't know. So Wachi is some food, very nice dish in Ghana. I was in the queue, and I got this um email that said that you have been picked for another interview. I think it was a product tech analyst interview, right? I was so happy, and I knew that that was actually something I could do because it's tech related. It's support. It's something I have been doing already related to engineering, and so I was so happy. I could even I don't know, I still bought the food. I could even eat well. I was so overjoyed. And then I went into the interview. I told myself that, look, I had to decide. And one thing I did, I was already watching YouTube videos on interviews. I was already watching, watching, watching. So when I went into the interview, long story short, I nailed that interview. And I remember there was this Indian boss who was back then. So I was so happy and I got into the role. So that was my first, I think, remote job with Crossover. But Crossover has a lot of interesting policies, right? And one of them is that after you write go through these long tests. Some of the tests are very long. Some of them you do videos, etc. After that, you do a proctor test. So I think in my was it my second, maybe almost getting to a month, and then they gave me the proctor test. So when they say a proctor test, it means that you write the same test that you've written, just that with a camera. So you put one camera. It's very funny. One will be on your phone. You use the same camera. You use the camera on your phone, and then you use the camera on your laptop, right? Your web or your webcam, and then someone will be watching you as you write the test. And oh goodness, I think that was what I didn't pass. And then they told me that, oh no, they have to, like, excuse me or recall the offer, blah blah blah. By that time I'd already been drafted for another role, but the crossover terms and conditions were very rigid, right? And the 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 I would say that it was a very flat salary. Like, they don't pay taxes, they don't do anything. So, and it's a very strict, like, stiff way of working. For example, um there's a software that takes pictures of your screen, okay, while you're working every 10 minutes, and it takes pictures of you too. So you literally cannot do anything with crossover. The money is good. Like, you can't do anything else with crossover. So that's another thing you should note. So I'm just letting you know how these companies work. So some go in for the money. I know someone there who's doing like very high salaries, like $200,000 a year. Some I know someone, I think, just I'm not, just to be sure, I think about $400,000, a very high role, right? But and their salaries are advertised with the roles. Okay, so it's like what you see is what you get. They are very upfront, but there are no benefits whatsoever. Everything is, it's like a work factory. Okay, so that's really about crossover. So I wasn't really, I mean, I like the fact that, okay, I was going to earn something very high, but it was very rigid. Like, during the day you do your 8 hours. Like, it's not like another job where maybe you can get up, take a break. No, you have, I think, a 1 hour break or 2 hour break, but you will work. They'll use you, like, though you actually you actually earn the salary to to bits, so like I said, your camera is taking pictures of you every 10 minutes. It's taking pictures of your screen, your work screen. So it's not like you can have a side screen and be doing another. No, 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 no. It was very rigid. So by the time the second rule came with the other company, I was a little happy, although the pay was less. Like, I took a pay cut. But I was really enthused by the fact that it was remote. So I'm like, okay, well, Christopher is too rigid, and this offer has come. Then let me take it and leave the main crossover thing. I mean, it was nice and all of that. So let me just, so I'd already planned to leave before I even took the procted. So that's how it was. When I got this other role, I'm like, okay, it's a pay cut, but it's not so rigid. It's a good work-life balance. It's, I mean, they're a bit more asynchronous. So asynchronous is like, acknowledge and then do your work, but make sure you're getting things done. It's not like you have to be working on the fly. There's no camera on you. It's not rigid. Your taxes are being paid. Your social security stuff were being paid and all of that. So I accepted this one, and this one was a little much better. In terms, like I mean, like, the work conditions. So that was like my next remote step. It was also remote, but they had an office here, but it was remote. And then the main company was somewhere in South Africa, and then other places. So I started that. So that is a summary of how I landed my first remote job and my experience with crossover. So a lot of people tell me that they want to apply to crossover. Truthfully, it's a great place if you are looking for, you're just about the money. Okay. So I'll show you a little bit about how crossover works. So it's a great place if you are just looking for the money and you want to make money. I know people who are there now as we speak, as I speak, right? But you need to keep some of these things in mind. They can be very, very, very tough and on their time. So that's about crossover. But will you earn the money? Yeah, and they pay every 2 weeks with a prevailing rate. Is it prevailing rate? Yeah, I think it was a prevailing rate. Yes, every 2 weeks your money is split into two, and then they pay every 2 weeks. If it's there's a little delay, it's 3 weeks, and then the last week or something like that. That's about crossover. But boy, you're going to write a lot of tests. You write tests, and then you be drilled. They boast of having the top 1% talent in the world, so they try to do that, and then you have to find a way to pay your own taxes. So they do something called, I think, a W2C. That means that you work as a B2B, like work on a B2B term. So yeah, you're working as a consultant, as a business to business for crossover. So that's the kind of contract style, right? So that's about crossover. So would I advise people to get into crossover? If you can do it, why not? If you are good at, because you have to clear these cognitive tests. If you are good at it, well, you can take a shot, but don't waste. I think I wasted a lot of time on crossover, right? Trying to ace test and all of that. And sometimes all of these tests I passed all of them, but I wasn't selected, so um the trick here is, okay, what they actually do is that, okay, like let's say if you scored a certain mark and someone just scored one above you, they'll pick that person over you. So some of these things you have to know is elimination by rough tactics. Okay, some of these remote jobs. And when I was looking at after crossover, when I was living crossover, I was looking at a lot of other places. There's We Work Remotely, there's LinkedIn, there are LinkedIn optimizations, etc., that you can do to just tailor to remote jobs. There's Remote OK. There are a couple of them. You understand? So I'll be doing subsequent videos to show you how I or how to like get into more remote seeking companies or companies that have a remote work culture. I'll be doing more videos, and then how you can optimize your search, okay, and to focus on remote tech. I also show you some of the tricks here and there, like LinkedIn optimization, networking skills, and let's say even resume optimizations. Because let me be very honest with you, there are a lot of people. No, the remote culture is now coming to a lot of people, right? And a lot of people are applying more and more each day. Okay, so the barrier of entry has been raised. Okay, and you need to like know a few more things. You need to be very skilled, be good at what you do, okay, to be able to like let's say break into these kind of roles. Because one thing I also say is that, for example, I think at a point we work remotely as a site, right, for remote jobs. At a point they used to put up the number of people who have applied to the job, and for them application means those who have clicked on like apply for this job. That's like what they actually term as applied for a role. Sometimes I could see 1,047,
Are you
2,000
playing?
applications. Just imagine if you're a recruiter and you're seeing 2,000 applications. How are you going to like sift through all these CVs? Even looking at 10 CVs can be very draining, right? Because I've recruited before. So what I tell people is that now most of these foreign companies use what we call resume scanners. They call, I think, ATS scanners also. I'll just cross check and give you all the full details. And they eliminate by very rough tactics. Okay, they eliminate by location, they eliminate by skills, like skill keywords, etc. So when you're applying for such remote jobs, you have to be very, very, very like attentive. If you're applying for, like, let's say a software engineering job, certain keywords should be in your resume. If you're applying for a project management job, certain keywords should be in your resume. Okay. And then it's also a little bit of first come, first served. Okay. So that's another thing I tell people. You have to be making sure that your alerts are on as soon as the job is posted, you're applying. Because just imagine that let's say 500 people have applied for a role. Now the recruiter has looked through, like, let's say he has the grace to look through like 100 of these applications. What happens to the rest? He's tired, and he has probably seen like 10 out of the, even 10. Let me say, he has seen about 20 out of the 100 that he's fine with. The rest are going into the trash. Like you are being trashed. You probably are not even going to look through. You understand? So that's another key element of remote. It's really about first come, first served. And I want to really encourage people that don't give up. Like, it's real. I'm evidence of remote work. I've done it and it's good. It brings good work-life balance. Number two, it helps with when you're looking at foreign currency. The foreign exchange is good in Ghana now, where like, let's say the pound is about at like 20, stuff like that. Just imagine if you earn a role and you're doing, like, let's say 5,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds. You can just do the math. You are very good. Like, you're in very good hands. Okay. But I also say I'll do subsequent videos about which countries hire more remotely and then what policies govern remote work. Because in hiring from some countries, because in Britain, like this, it's a little difficult. There are a lot of things that govern. So when I didn't know, I was applying to a lot of British jobs and I was not getting, like, Britain would rather like to, like, companies in Britain would rather like to hire locally from Britain and you work remotely in Britain. So if you want to earn some pounds, then you must be looking at being in, Britain, like stuff like that. Because there are certain policies, like they have this GDPR, is it GDRP or something like that, that governs hiring, and the British companies don't joke with it. There are lots of other things, So I'll be doing subsequent videos, and I've just listed them down in like batches, and I'll be releasing them. So make sure you subscribe. I hope this video is encouraging to let you know that it's actually possible to actually land a remote job from Ghana. And I'll be working on my next video very soon. I think I already have the next video planned, but I want to see in the comment section what I would like to know. People, you can reach out to me what you want me to talk about. For example, let's say how to optimize your LinkedIn, how to optimize your CV. And then also people ask me that which sites, are better are better for remote job. I'll do full videos and I'll show you how to, like, drill down for remote jobs. Okay, so anything remote. And then tech, I'm also going to talk about how to, like, break into tech and which kind of skills to look out for, because remote jobs go with some skills. Let's say being a remote doctor is not as practical as being a software engineer. So stuff like that, but they are, like, there's telemedicine and stuff like that. So this is like my first video to let you know that yes, it's very possible to get a remote job. It's very, very possible, but you need to prepare yourself for it. Get ready and stay alert, and then stay ahead of the pack, and then with a little determination be able to get a remote job. So thank you for sticking with me right to the end. Stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to be talking about decide which video I should post actually for my next topic. But I see a lot of people talking about how do I optimize my remote job search. And then this is just not about remote jobs. It could be about just breaking into tech, because that's also something that I'm very passionate about and this channel is dedicated to. So stay tuned. Share this with a friend who you know. If in case you're not, like, in tech, you can share with someone who's in tech. And don't be, and the last thing I'll say is, don't be put back by low salaries. Okay, it's fine. There's a starting point for it, but aim high, and you're definitely going to get that job that I've been dreaming about. All right. Till then, stay tuned. See you next time. The name is Dev Money. Keep subscribing to my channel and stay tuned.